Have you ever felt a chill down your spine when talking to someone? Or maybe you've had a gut feeling that something just wasn't right about a person in your life. Well, you might be onto something. Today, we're diving into a topic that might make you look at the people around you differently. We're going to explore 9 unmistakable signs that someone in your life might actually be a demon in disguise. Now, I know what you're thinking. Demons? Really? But stick with me here. This isn't about pointing fingers or scaring you. It's about understanding the world of energy around us and learning to protect ourselves from negative influences. By the end of this video, you'll have the knowledge to spot these signs and keep yourself safe. You might be wondering why we're even talking about this. Well, let me tell you, recognizing these signs isn't just interesting, it's crucial for your well-being. Think about it. We all have people in our lives who drain us, who leave us feeling exhausted or upset after every interaction. What if there's more to it than just a difficult personality? If you don't learn to spot these signs, you might find yourself stuck in toxic relationships, always feeling down, or even losing your sense of self. It's like having a slow leak in your energy tank. If you don't plug it, eventually you'll run out of gas. But here's the good news. Once you know what to look for, you can protect yourself. You can make better choices about who you let into your life and how much of your energy you share with them. And that's powerful stuff. Now, let's clear something up. When we talk about demons, we're not talking about little red guys with pitchforks. In the spiritual world, demons are negative energies that can attach themselves to people or places. Sometimes, these energies can be so strong that they seem to take over a person entirely. Think of it like this. We all have light and dark inside us. But some people, for whatever reason, have let the darkness take over. They might not even realize it themselves. These are the people we're talking about when we say demons in human form. It's important to remember that this isn't about judging people or labeling them as evil. It's about recognizing negative energies and protecting ourselves from them. Just like you'd avoid touching a hot stove, you want to avoid getting too close to these harmful energies. So, what are these signs we keep talking about? Well, we're going to go through them one by one. Some might surprise you, and others might make you think, I've seen that before. The key is to look for patterns. One sign on its own doesn't mean much, but when you start seeing several of them together, that's when you need to pay attention. We'll start with the more subtle signs and work our way up to the really obvious ones. Remember, this isn't about paranoia or seeing demons everywhere. It's about being aware and trusting your instincts. The first sign is all about energy. Have you ever met someone who, after spending time with them, leaves you feeling completely wiped out? Like you've run a marathon, even if you've just had a short conversation? That's what we're talking about here. Energy vampires, as some people call them, are real. These are people who seem to suck the life force right out of you. You might start the day feeling great, have a chat with them, and suddenly you're exhausted, cranky, and just want to go to bed. Here's an example. Let's say you have a coworker, let's call her Sarah. Every time Sarah comes to your desk to chat, you find yourself feeling tired afterward. Your mood drops, you can't focus on your work, and you just feel off. Even if Sarah was talking about something positive, you still end up feeling drained. This is a red flag because normal interactions shouldn't leave you feeling this way. Sure, some conversations can be tiring, especially if they're emotional or intense. But if you're consistently feeling drained after interacting with someone, even when the interaction itself seemed pleasant, that's when you need to pay attention. The reason this is a sign of a potential demon is that negative entities feed on energy. They're like parasites, always looking for a host to latch onto and drain. If you're constantly feeling depleted around someone, it might be because they're literally sucking your energy away. But here's the tricky part. Sometimes, these energy-draining people can seem really nice or charismatic at first. They might even be the life of the party. But pay attention to how you feel after spending time with them. If you're always tired, that's a sign. The second sign to watch out for is an obsession with control. Now, we all like to have some control over our lives, that's normal. But demons take this to a whole new level. They want to control everything and everyone around them. This might show up in different ways. Maybe they always have to decide where the group goes for dinner. Or they might try to control how you dress, who you talk to, or how you spend your time. They might even try to control your thoughts and feelings, telling you that you're wrong for feeling a certain way. Let's look at an example. Imagine you have a friend. We'll call him Tom. Tom always has an opinion about what you should do with your life. He tells you which job you should take, who you should date, even what you should eat. At first, you might think he's just being helpful, but then you realize that if you don't take his advice, he gets angry or upset. He might even try to manipulate you into doing what he wants. This is a red flag because healthy relationships have balance. There's give and take, and people respect each other's choices. But someone with demonic energy doesn't want balance. They want everything their way, all the time. The reason this is a sign of a potential demon is that control is all about power. Demons crave power over others. By controlling the people around them, they feel stronger. It's like they're feeding off your free will. The danger of ignoring this sign is that you might slowly lose yourself. You might start to doubt your own thoughts and feelings. You might stop making decisions for yourself. Over time, you could end up living a life that's not really yours, but the one this controlling person has created for you. Remember, there's a difference between someone who cares about you and offers advice, and someone who tries to control your every move. The first one will respect your decisions, even if they disagree. The second one will get upset, or try to punish you for not doing what they want. Now let's talk about two signs that often go hand in hand. A lack of empathy and always playing the victim. These might seem like opposite behaviors, but they actually come from the same place, a focus on self above all else. Let's start with the lack of empathy. Empathy is the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. It's what makes us human, what allows us to connect with each other. But someone with demonic energy doesn't have this ability. They simply don't care about how others feel. Here's what it might look like. You're having a rough day. Maybe you lost your job, or you're going through a breakup. You tell your friend about it, hoping for some comfort. But instead of showing concern, they brush it off. They might change the subject to talk about themselves, or they might even get annoyed that you're not in a good mood. They just can't seem to put themselves in your shoes. Now, let's look at the always the victim mentality. This is when someone constantly sees themselves as being wronged by the world. Nothing is ever their fault. They're always the one being treated unfairly, always the one who's suffering the most. For example, let's say you have a coworker who's always complaining. They didn't get the promotion because the boss hates them. They're late to work because other drivers are idiots. Their project failed because their team members are incompetent. Sound familiar? These two traits might seem different, but they're connected. Both show a lack of ability to see beyond oneself. Someone who lacks empathy can't understand others' pain. And someone who's always the victim can't see how their actions affect others. Why are these signs of a potential demon? Because demons are all about self. They don't have the capacity for real love or connection. They can't put themselves in someone else's shoes because they're too focused on their own existence. The danger of these traits is that they make real relationships impossible. You can't have a true connection with someone who doesn't care about your feelings, or who's always blaming you and everyone else for their problems. And here's where it gets tricky. Sometimes, these people can seem charming at first. They might be good at faking empathy when it serves them, or their victim stories might make you feel sorry for them. But over time, you'll notice that it's always a one-way street. They take your sympathy, but they never give it back. In real life, these signs might show up subtly at first. Maybe you notice that your friend never asks how you're doing, or that your partner always has an excuse for their bad behavior. Pay attention to these patterns. Are they consistently unable to see things from your perspective? Do they always have a story about how the world is against them? Remember, everyone has moments of selfishness or self-pity. That's normal. What we're talking about here is a constant pattern of behavior. If someone in your life consistently shows these traits, it might be a sign that they're carrying some seriously negative energy. Now, you might be wondering, what if I recognize these traits in myself? Does that mean I'm a demon? The answer is no. The fact that you're even asking that question, that you're concerned about it, shows that you have self-awareness and empathy. These are things that true demons lack. If you do see some of these behaviors in yourself, don't panic. We all have room for growth. The key is to be aware of these tendencies and work on developing more empathy and taking responsibility for our actions. Unlike true demons, we humans have the capacity to change and grow. As we move forward in our list of signs, keep in mind that we're building a picture. One or two of these signs might not mean much on their own, but if you're seeing several of them consistently in one person, that's when you need to start paying attention. In our next sections, we'll dive into some of the more obvious signs. These are the red flags that are hard to miss, the ones that might make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Remember, knowledge is power. The more you know about these signs, the better equipped you'll be to protect yourself and your energy. But before we move on, let's take a moment to reflect. Think about the people in your life. Have you noticed any of these signs in them? Maybe you've had a nagging feeling about someone, but you couldn't quite put your finger on why. As we go through the rest of the signs, keep those people in mind. You might start to see a clearer picture. And remember, this isn't about living in fear or suspicion. It's about being aware and trusting your instincts. Your gut feelings are often right, even if you can't explain why. As we continue, you'll learn to trust those instincts even more. Now, let's talk about two signs that might seem surprising at first: excessive charm and constant lying. You might be thinking, wait, isn't being charming a good thing? Well, not always. Let's break it down. First, let's look at excessive charm. We're not talking about someone who's just naturally friendly and likable. We're talking about charm that's turned up to 11, charm that feels almost too good to be true. Imagine you meet someone, and from the moment you start talking, they're showering you with compliments. They seem to know exactly what to say to make you feel special. They might even mirror your body language and speech patterns, making you feel like you've known them forever. It's like they've cast a spell on you. This might sound great at first, but here's the catch. This charm is a tool. It's not genuine connection. It's a way to manipulate you. Someone with demonic energy uses charm like a weapon to disarm you and get what they want. For example, let's say you start a new job and there's this incredibly charming coworker. They're always complimenting your work, laughing at your jokes, and making you feel like you're the most interesting person in the room. But then you notice that every time they're this charming, they're also asking for favors. They might be getting you to cover their shifts, do their work, or keep their secrets. Now, let's talk about the constant lying. This goes hand in hand with the charm. Someone with demonic energy lives in a world of deception. They lie about big things and small things, often for no apparent reason. These lies can range from little white lies to huge, life-altering deceptions. They might lie about where they were last night, or they might create entire fake personas. The key is that lying is their default mode. They lie even when telling the truth would be easier. Here's an example. You have a friend who always has amazing stories. They've met celebrities, had incredible adventures, and achieved remarkable things. At first, you're in awe, but then you start noticing inconsistencies. The details of their stories change. When you try to verify anything, you can't. You realize that most, if not all, of what they've told you is made up. Why are these signs of a potential demon? Because both excessive charm and constant lying are about creating a false reality. Demons don't operate in truth and genuine connection. They create illusions to manipulate and control. The danger of these traits is that they can be incredibly seductive. The charm pulls you in, and the lies keep you confused and off balance. Before you know it, you're caught in a web of deception, unsure of what's real and what's not. In real life, you might notice these signs when you feel like someone is too good to be true. If you find yourself thinking, wow, this person is amazing, pause and ask yourself if it feels genuine. Are they this charming with everyone, or just with people they want something from? Do their stories always seem a bit too perfect? As for the lying, pay attention to inconsistencies. Does this person's story change depending on who they're talking to? Do you ever catch them in obvious lies? Trust your instincts. If something feels off, it probably is. Remember, genuine people aren't perfect. They have flaws, they make mistakes, and they're not afraid to show their real selves. If someone seems too perfect, too charming, too amazing to be true, well, they probably are. Now we're getting into some of the more obvious signs. These are the behaviors that can make your life feel like an emotional roller coaster. Let's dive in. First, let's talk about feeding off drama and conflict. You know those people who always seem to be at the center of some kind of trouble? The ones who can turn a peaceful situation into a battleground in the blink of an eye. That's what we're talking about here. Someone with demonic energy thrives on chaos. They're not happy unless there's some kind of conflict going on. They might start arguments for no reason, spread gossip, or pit people against each other. It's like they enjoy watching the world burn. Here's an example. Let's say you have a friend group that usually gets along well, but there's this one person who always seems to stir things up. They'll tell one friend that another friend was talking behind their back. They'll bring up sensitive topics at gatherings, knowing it'll cause a fight. Every time the group hangs out, there's drama, and this person is always at the center of it. Why do they do this? Because negative energy feeds them. Just like they drain your personal energy, they also feed off the negative energy of conflict and drama. It's like fuel for them. Now, let's look at extreme mood swings. This is when someone's emotional state changes rapidly and intensely, often for no apparent reason. One minute they're on top of the world, the next they're in the depths of despair or rage. Imagine you're having a great time with someone. You're laughing, joking, everything's going well. Then, out of nowhere, they snap. Maybe you said something innocent that set them off, or maybe there's no clear trigger at all. Suddenly, they're furious or deeply depressed. It's like a switch has been flipped. These mood swings can be really unsettling because they're unpredictable. You never know what version of the person you're going to get. It keeps you walking on eggshells, always afraid of setting them off. Why are these signs of a potential demon? Because both of these behaviors are about creating instability. Demons thrive in chaos and confusion. By stirring up drama and having unpredictable moods, they keep everyone around them off balance. This makes it easier for them to manipulate and control others. The danger of these traits is that they can be incredibly draining and stressful for the people around them. If you're constantly dealing with someone who creates drama or has extreme mood swings, you might find yourself emotionally exhausted. You might start to feel anxious, always waiting for the next outburst or conflict. In real life, you might notice these signs when you feel like you're walking on eggshells around someone. Do you find yourself carefully choosing your words, afraid of setting them off? Do you notice that this person seems happier when there's conflict around them? Do they seem to enjoy stirring up trouble? It's important to note that some mental health conditions can cause mood swings. The difference here is the pattern and the impact. Someone struggling with their mental health usually doesn't enjoy causing drama, and they often feel bad about their mood swings. A person with demonic energy, on the other hand, thrives on the chaos they create. Remember, healthy relationships should make you feel safe and stable. If you're constantly stressed and anxious around someone, that's a red flag. You shouldn't have to live your life waiting for the next emotional explosion. Now we come to our final sign, and it's a big one. This is often the most telling sign of all, an aversion to spiritual or sacred things. This isn't just about not being religious. It's a deep, visceral reaction to anything spiritual or sacred. What do we mean by spiritual or sacred things? This could be religious symbols, like crosses or sacred texts. It could be spiritual practices, like meditation or prayer. It could even be things that are deeply meaningful or pure, like genuine love or innocence. Someone with demonic energy will have a strong negative reaction to these things. They might become visibly uncomfortable, angry, or even physically ill when confronted with spiritual or sacred objects or concepts. Here's an example. Let's say you have a coworker who seems normal most of the time, but one day, you wear a small cross necklace to work. Suddenly, this person becomes agitated. They might make sarcastic comments about religion, or they might seem physically uncomfortable around you. They might even ask you to remove the necklace or hide it. Or imagine you have a friend who reacts strongly whenever you talk about your meditation practice. They might mock you, try to convince you it's useless, or even get angry that you're wasting your time on such things. This aversion can show up in subtler ways too. They might always change the subject when anything spiritual comes up. They might refuse to enter places of worship even for non-religious events like weddings or funerals. They might have a strong negative reaction to expressions of pure love or innocence, like being uncomfortable around happy couples or being mean to animals or children. Why is this a sign of a potential demon? Because in many spiritual traditions, demons are seen as entities that are cut off from the divine. They can't stand to be in the presence of anything truly sacred or pure because it reminds them of what they've lost or rejected. The danger of this trait is that it can slowly erode your own spiritual or moral foundations. If you're constantly around someone who mocks or dismisses anything spiritual or meaningful, you might start to doubt your own beliefs or values. You might find yourself becoming more cynical or losing touch with the things that give your life meaning. In real life, this sign might be subtle at first. You might notice that certain topics make someone unusually uncomfortable or angry. Pay attention to how they react when spiritual or meaningful subjects come up. Do they always try to change the subject? Do they become hostile or mocking? It's important to note that not everyone who's uncomfortable with religion or spirituality has demonic energy. Many people have had negative experiences with organized religion, for example, and that's valid. The key difference is in the intensity and consistency of the reaction. Someone with demonic energy won't just be indifferent to spiritual things. They'll have a strong, visceral negative reaction. This sign is often the most clear-cut. While the other signs we've discussed could sometimes be explained by personality quirks or mental health issues, this deep aversion to anything spiritual or sacred is a major red flag. Remember, this isn't about judging someone's beliefs or lack thereof. It's about noticing a pattern of strong negative reactions to anything pure, sacred, or deeply meaningful. If you notice this in someone, especially in combination with the other signs we've discussed, it's a strong indication that you're dealing with some very negative energy. As we wrap up our discussion of these 9 signs, it's important to remember that they usually appear together. 1 or 2 of these signs might not mean much on their own, but if you're seeing several of them consistently in one person, that's when you need to be cautious. Protecting yourself from demonic energies. Now that we've gone through all 9 signs, you might be feeling a bit overwhelmed. Maybe you've recognized some of these signs in people you know. Maybe you're even feeling a bit scared. But don't worry, knowledge is power, and now that you know what to look for, you can take steps to protect yourself. First and foremost, trust your instincts. Your gut feelings are often right, even if you can't explain why. If someone makes you feel uncomfortable or drained, pay attention to that feeling. Don't brush it off or make excuses for them. Your intuition is your first line of defense. One of the most powerful ways to protect yourself is to set clear boundaries. This means deciding what kind of behavior you will and won't accept from others and sticking to those decisions. If someone is constantly draining your energy or trying to control you, it's okay to limit your time with them or even cut them out of your life entirely. Here's an example of setting a boundary. Let's say you have a friend who always calls you late at night to dump their problems on you, leaving you exhausted. You could say, "I care about you, but I need my sleep. I won't answer calls after 9 p.m. anymore, but we can talk during the day." Then, stick to that boundary, even if they try to push it. Another important protection method is to strengthen your own energy. This can mean different things for different people. Some find strength in prayer or meditation. Others might feel energized by spending time in nature, practicing yoga, or engaging in creative activities. The key is to find what makes you feel strong, centered, and positive, and make time for those activities regularly. You can also use visualization techniques to protect your energy. Imagine yourself surrounded by a bubble of bright, white light. This light is your protection, deflecting any negative energy that comes your way. You can do this visualization anytime you feel your energy being drained, or when you're about to interact with someone who tends to deplete you. It's also important to surround yourself with positive people. The more time you spend with people who lift you up and support you, the stronger your own energy will become. These positive relationships can act as a buffer against negative influences. If you're dealing with a particularly strong negative presence in your life, don't be afraid to seek help. This could mean talking to a trusted friend or family member, seeking guidance from a spiritual leader, or even working with a therapist. Sometimes, an outside perspective can help you see things more clearly and give you the strength to make necessary changes. Remember, protecting yourself from negative energies isn't about living in fear. It's about being aware, setting healthy boundaries, and taking care of your own well-being. You have the power to choose who you allow into your life and how much of your energy you share with them. As we near the end of our discussion, it's important to focus on the power of positivity. While it's crucial to be aware of negative energies, it's equally important not to let that awareness turn into paranoia or constant suspicion. The truth is, most people are not demons. Most people are just regular humans with their own struggles, flaws, and positive qualities. By focusing too much on looking for demons, we risk missing out on genuine connections and positive relationships. Instead, try to cultivate positivity in your own life. Be the kind of person who uplifts others instead of draining them. Practice kindness, empathy, and understanding. Not only will this attract more positive people into your life, but it will also make you more resilient against negative energies. Here's an exercise you can try. Each day, make a conscious effort to spread positivity. It could be as simple as giving a genuine compliment, helping a coworker with a task, or sending an encouraging message to a friend. Notice how this makes you feel. Often, when we put positivity out into the world, it comes back to us multiplied. Remember, energy is contagious. If you maintain a positive energy, you'll naturally repel those with negative intentions and attract those who match your vibration. This doesn't mean you have to be happy all the time. That's not realistic. It means choosing to approach life with optimism and kindness, even in difficult moments. We've covered a lot of ground today, exploring 9 unmistakable signs that someone in your life might be carrying demonic energy. From energy drainage and control obsession to aversion to spiritual things, these signs can help you identify negative influences in your life. But remember, the goal here isn't to go on a demon hunt. It's to empower you to recognize negative energies, protect yourself, and create a life filled with positive, uplifting relationships. Knowledge is power, and now you have the knowledge to make informed decisions about the people you allow into your inner circle. As you move forward, keep these signs in mind, but also remember to trust your instincts. Your intuition is a powerful tool. If something feels off about someone, pay attention to that feeling. At the same time, don't let this knowledge make you paranoid. Most people are not demons. They're just humans, with all the complexity that entails. Focus on cultivating your own positive energy. Engage in activities that make you feel strong and centered. Surround yourself with people who lift you up. Set clear boundaries and stick to them. Remember, you have the power to shape your own energy and your own life. Thank you for joining me on this journey of discovery. I hope this information serves you well and helps you create a life filled with positive energy and genuine connections. Remember, you are stronger than any negative energy you might encounter. Trust yourself, stay positive, and keep shining your light.